Hello friends! So, thank you for coming back, joining me, Jen, the Taxidermy Witch, and right now it's almost noon, and it's Monday morning, and so I did videos all day yesterday, and I started a full moon series, and now I'm doing a continuation so this will be part 2 on how to make the full moon blessed sand into a protection sand for the perimeter of my home. And these are the intentions that I was focusing on. Okay? And this is the candle statement that I wrote on the candle that I showed this in the part 1 of this video. And the candle's back here. I had a huge wax spill last night, which was okay because nothing bad really happened, but I'm not going to keep a candle right here on my workings today because I have so much going on. Alright, so in the last video we talked about I went through this book here and I showed you how to navigate through it in order to come up with what herbs or things you could use next to your intentions, okay? So I don't know if you need to pause this at all, and it probably all looks like scribbles, and I apologize. So if you have any questions on what I've written here, just ask me, but we literally wrote these out in the video prior to this. I've just added a couple of things. So in between these videos, I did 2 meditations, but I collected the herbs from my shelf and from my garden that I'll be using in the spell, as well as other things. So I'll be going over all of those. I apologize for my allergies if I clear my throat a lot. I'm just trying to enunciate as well as be able to breathe. Okay, so my magical intentions are increasing my psychic powers, increasing infertility, increasing romance, gaining protection, to attain invisibility, to prevent from theft. So those are the 6 things I need to bring into my home right now. And like I said in the last video, I'm not even going to ask for money. As soon as these stresses go down, money will more easily come to me. It's not that I have much of it right now. I never really have much of it, but I always stay happy as long as my stresses are down. You know, money will come. And I have a little money altar. I'll show you guys that in another video. It's super simple stuff. Okay, so I feel like we should just get started, and that's the only way to get through this quickly and briskly. These were the things that I collected from outside in nature and or my garden. And so you want to kind of find like a special magical bowl, something that's special to you. And then you want to use that when you're doing things like something that's so precious as protecting your home. So for me, I have this really cool, kind of like old carnival glass or depression glass, I'm not quite sure. And it's just lovely. It's green, and I've always been really drawn to it, so it's something that I feel really heightens my magics. So I think we should first start by saying that it's nice to keep pictures around of, you know, your family and things that you're trying to help in your home protection. These are the, 3 people in my home, so I'm going to keep pictures there. And then when I go ahead and do the blessing, when it's all put together, I will put the pictures next to the candles, and we'll go through all that. Okay, so let's start by getting maybe like 50% sand into this bowl. And I'm just going to pour from this tray, which we blessed it in. I did a demo of how to bless this in the moonlight. And remember remember I told you that big black rock I had, stone I had, the what I think is black tourmaline, chunks break off all the time? A big chunk broke off, so I'm just going to throw that in the bowl. And then I'm going to pour like 50% of the bowl full of sand, maybe a little less so that you have mixing room. And this is dusty, so for breathing's sake you might want to wear a little dust mask, I don't know. I blow my breath on it to push the dust away, but also to push my magic and my intention and my change that happens in my breath onto that sand. So we're like just halfway full. That black tourmaline chunk that fell off is down there. I'm going to put the sand aside until I need it again. And I want to take my Adamite and I put my magical symbol in there. Okay. And if you don't know what yours is, then you can just try and find it in meditation. You can ask your guides to show it to you. You can just start drawing and doing art and try and create one of your own if you can't find it in meditations, or if you're one of the folks that isn't skilled at meditation yet. But the only way to get skilled at it is to try right now today. That's my best advice. Alright, so I like to keep amethyst around when I'm doing my workings. It's a really harmonious stone from what I can understand. And also I have my goddess Bast here. That's a great thing to wear on a full moon. And some things that I added in just in my meditations this morning. I was thinking about what I was going to put in the sand, and outside of what I read in Scott Cunningham's book, and that is my Black Witch's Salt. I'm going to be adding some of that to this, and I have a video on how to make this. We made it together. And I'm kind of going to pour it out in my symbol. It's not going to look like my symbol. Okay. And sulfur is a really cool ingredient. Sulfur amplifies a lot of spells. I think it's used in a lot of like southern witchcraft, maybe more of the different variations that are down there. But if you don't like the smell, you should put it in last. I don't mind the smell, it just smells like eggs. But some people are really opposed to it. But to me, this amplifies something that's so important as protecting my home. Okay, and then now I guess we could talk about the groups of ingredients that are not the ones that I thought of in meditation. We're going to do the mandrake last. I've activated this last night, and I'll do a quick reading on how I did all that when I add it, but it's a wet ingredient, so I'm going to add it probably almost last. So I'll set that there to the side. And now talk about one that's a piece of taxidermy. It's a snake shed, and the snake sheds fell under invisibility. So the first intention I'm going to go over is invisibility. When we talk about our grinders and everything, we want to have one that's a spice grinder that you buy brand new, and they're only maybe like $8 or $10. They're not much. And then you use only for like magical things that you're not eating, like snake skins, okay? Because you can't grind those up in here. I've tried, even my poisonous one. So, holding your intention, invisibility, make my house invisible from any thieves, okay? Because that's why I've put this intention into that, is because there's just been a lot of, like, hooligans and such in the area, and I don't want to be the product of their mischief. I know kids play, but yeah. So after you grind it up, it looks like this, and it probably doesn't smell the best because it's snake sheds, and I'll show you what they look like before you grind them up. And these are from a boa constrictor, and they're down here. A gentleman that I know that I get them off of eBay, and he knows that I'm using them for magics, and he has magics in his house too, so I feel like that's a really cool connection. But here they are. And you know, there's little bits of bark in there from when the boa constrictor grabs its prey, and then it kind of gets muddled in the bottom as well. So they're all just, there's a lot of really cool ones in there. But I think there's like 20 sheds in here that I got for maybe $15, and that lasts me a long time, you know. I don't always use this in my house protection blend, but right now, just because of what's going on in my area, that's why I'm using that. So. And then back to my other invisibility ingredient, because I only was able to find 3 for invisibility to attain, and they were my snake sheds, and it said poppy, and I'm assuming it meant poppy flower because it didn't say poppy seeds where it normally does. So I've got this poppy that I'm just keeping here with my magical workings. Or you could, you know, bead on this later. You could hold it with you while you were dropping the sand later around the perimeter of your property that you wanted to protect. If it was small enough, you could put it in your hair. That would look ridiculous. Look, that would be actually hilarious. That's totally something I would actually do. And you can ask Alex. He'd be like, yep, she would. Okay, so I like to actually stir these all together later, and because there's snake sheds and sulfur in there, I probably won't use my hands, but let's remember, I used my hands on that moon sand, I used my hands and intention on that black salt. Like, there's already so much intention in here, and magic in here, that my hands have already touched everything in there, and that is really cool. So, you don't have to, because I know I say touch your things, you know, your part of you goes into it, it becomes more your magics. But then remember too that if you're using loads of ingredients, you're already a part of a lot of that as well. So don't get snake sheds on your hands and then touch, you know, your mouth. That would be horrible. So the next invisibility ingredient I have are ferns that I picked fresh from outside. And this is fun. Now that it's summer, my cats are all outdoors. And we have 5 cats. Yeah, 5. One of which his name is Otis Driftwood. And if you know who that is, make a comment, because that's cool. However, I was out there and I was talking to Rosebud, and I can usually see her right out my window. She hangs out under this big tree, which is so cool. But I went out there because I just want to say hi to her, and then I was like, oh, ferns, right, and then started collecting those. So that's the spot where she always hangs out, and I didn't even know that there were ferns over there. But now I do. So these are my special rosebud ferns, and I'm going to cut all of them up. And as you're cutting, you're putting that intention, and get your hair out of the way. We've done that before. Oh boy. Okay, keep this house invisible from all thieves. Keep this house invisible from negative people. Keep this house invisible from all negative intentions. Keep this house invisible from thieves. keep our love safe by invisibility. Keep our stresses down by staying invisible. Scott, be with us as we use these herbs. Your words are so wise, and you help me every single day. The ferns smell really amazing. Like, I can't even smell the sulfur under there, guys. And remember that, too, as you layer these ingredients. The smells, the aromas that are happening, that is magic. Aromatherapy is absolutely magic. So that's a whole nother level of doing, you know, fresh and dried herbs. When they're dried, if you rub them in your hands before you drop them in, like the rosemary, before you drop it in, it will, just like when you're cooking, it will release the oils of that dried herb. So you're kind of like releasing magic that's stored inside. Yeah, it's so cool. Let's see. Now we've gone through all the invisibility ones, and let's just go to the theft, to prevent the theft. And we've got juniper berries, garlic, cumin, and caraway. And remember, you guys, when most witches or, you know, eclectic witchcraft practitioners start out, they're using things that they're finding around the house, and particularly in their kitchen. So, most of these on the list right here, right now, are all kitchen, yeah. Caraway is used in rye bread. Garlic, obviously, I have it in both. I'm going to use the skins, but I wanted to show you, if you didn't have this, you could use garlic powder. I might use a little garlic powder. We'll see how I feel in a moment. Yeah, cumin seeds, caraway seeds is what's in rye bread, and then juniper berries, which is what makes up gin. I mean, it's the main ingredient in gin. Gin is all aromatics. Really beautiful. Okay. Prevent this house from any and all theft. Keep us safe. Prevent this house from any and all theft and keep us safe. Prevent this house from any and all theft and keep us safe. Caraway seed. In your kitchen, you can put it in a pickle, and that tastes really yummy, in my opinion. Prevent this house from any theft and keep us all safe. Wow, you guys, that smells so good. Prevent this house from any and all theft and keep us all safe. And as you're looking at the picture of your family while you're saying that, you know, you're channeling that as well. You're getting a deeper vision of your own intentions and where that's going. So, like, try and visualize while you're doing this. Close your eyes while you're doing this, while you touch your herbs, while you drop them in like I did. If you want, if that's what you feel. And I have some cumin seeds, which are for preventing from theft. Prevent this home from any and all theft, and any and all thieves. Now, the invisibility is so the thieves won't see the house, okay? No one needs to see our house. No one needs to see the little witchy things I do in the yard, unless I've turned on the video camera and I want you to see them, or I ask my family to join me because they like doing that as well. So, invisibility around a witch's house is nice, or anyone who does witchcraft, because you don't necessarily want everybody to see what you're doing all the time, and it's not like you're trying to hide it. So, cumin. Keep this house from all thieves seeing us. Prevent us from being seen by thieves. Okay. Now, it might start to smell like your abuela's pork a little bit, but still, I mean, all of these aromatherapies are really doing awesome. So you could put a little bit of this in, but it's already smelling kind of foody, and I want to keep it more aromatherapy-y. So I'm just going to use the skins of the garlic and close my eyes and peel this off with my intention, which is to prevent theft. Prevent this house from any and all theft. Prevent this house from any and all theft. Drop a couple whole ones in, why not? Prevent this house from any and all theft. I do things in threes. Prevent this house from any and all theft. I have since I was 4 years old. I can remember counting in threes. And then I was told I was OCD, but later I realized I was doing witchcraft intuitively, even as a child. I spent all my time outside as a child. Ask my brothers will tell you that story over and over. Alright, so we've got like the cumin, the garlic paper, this gorgeous juniper berries. Everything's just rolling around in there. Lovely, lovely. And now we're on to, so that was everything that we had for theft. Now we're going to go to infertility. Walnut was the only thing I had on Scott Cunningham's list. So I have a black walnut whole tincture. It's a wet ingredient, but I'm just going to put in a couple drops. It's all going to be okay. I'm going to put in 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've read that 7 is the number of alchemy, so I like 7s and 3s. But sometimes 7's just too many, right? Okay, so walnut. I actually had walnuts. You want to keep your walnuts in the fridge, especially when it's summer, because they have oils, so they'll go rancid. And I'm going to pick out 7. 7 whole pieces. I'm weird like that. 1, 2, 3. And the rest you can grind up and make into a pesto. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And whatever numbers you gravitate toward, honestly, that's what you should be using, whatever you feel. Don't use 3 and 7 like me unless you're like, have a reason for it, you know, because that'll make it your magics, I believe. So I'm going to keep these, they're whole because I wanted to be 7 of them, but now I'm going to crunch them with my hands. And I'm going to ask for infertility, okay? And if you got some big chunks and some small chunks, that's what was meant to be, you know? When you're tossing this on the ground, after you toss this whole thing together, it's still going to look like pretty much just sand and herbs and... You're putting such a thin line out, guys. It's all going to be okay. If you wanted to grind this up in a giant, like, grinder, if you had one, just, like, to make it all, like, more like sand, I think it would turn into a paste, to be honest, but because I've tried that before, and it doesn't always work, but I mean, give it a go. See what works for you. This is what works best for me, in my opinion. Okay. So now we're on to protection to gain. Protection is just something I always add. See, I don't always add money because I try not to be selfish. But I always add protection because I don't feel that selfish, you know? Like, I deserve protection. So, the protection ones that I've got here are... Where did I put the fresh rosemary in already? I must have. So I had fresh rosemary. I think I put it in already. I have rosemary I dried in my garden, and now it's going to go straight into here. And like I was saying, touch it with your hands. Protect this home. And angelica root is awesome, and also angels and spirit guides love angelica root. I touched the walnut, and now my hand's all super. Just a sec. I touched those walnuts and my hands got super oily. I had to grab a towel. Excuse me on that. So Angelica root, it looks kind of like a barky type, and it is awesome for attracting your angels and spirit guides, and of course you want them around. Okay, so put it in there. I can't get it in there right now until I really properly clean my hands on this one. So get that in there, touch it, ask for your guide's help with the Angelica root. Also a substitute for that is Mimosa albiza, I think is what it's called. And then now we've got, you've seen me do up my free-range organic eggshells that were treated happily. I'm asking those happy chickens for protection in my home. Please protect this home. Happy little chickens, please help protect this home. Okay. And these ones on top I really just want to put in with my hands. Crush them right here with that intention. So that they're more chunky, you know. I really like that. I think you'll see here. Okay. And then cinnamon. I have cinnamon in 3 forms today. This is cinnamon bark. And honestly, guys, I'm only using 3 forms because I have it. Protect this home. Cinnamon bark, please help us protect this home. I'm only showing you all these things and putting them all in because let's remember, you could put 1 from these lists or you could put all from the list. And some of the topics, Scott Cunningham has like 200 herbs that could go with. If you had an herb cabinet or a woods that big where you could collect all of them, you could make something wow, and all the time that went into that would be great. But just please remember that you don't have to have all of these things. I would suggest getting that book and using my method and doing it your own way, but please feel free to go ahead and use this way as well. I just want to be clear on that, okay? And then now for the rest. So ash, and when I say ash is good for protection, I mean like smudge ash or incense ash. I burned this incense during meditation while I was thinking about that, so that's why I put that one in there. Do you understand? That makes it really cool and special. And then I'm going to put some of this smudge ash that I've done for cleansing the house, which is a positive energy smudge ash. It's not a one that was done for hexing or an old spell or something like that. You want to dispose of your old spells in a good way. Ash, protect this home. Keep us cleansed and safe. Okay, and then this one we've talked about before. I grind up in my molajete these family heirloom oyster shells that were collected in love in the 70s when my family all got together on this beach, and my mom kept them all these years and gave them to me, and she had them in her garden that whole time outside with her energies and the fays, and oh my gosh, that's awesome. But when you grind them up, they look, you know, like that. That took a long time, and I got a couple cuts on my hand, by the way, so there's a bit of my DNA in there, which is cool. I'm asking my ancestors to protect my home and to keep us safe here. I have so many shells, I'm doing all of it. I'm asking these ancestors to protect this home and keep us safe here. Ancestors, protect this home and keep us safe here. Okay, so, you know, measurements don't matter, you guys, how much, ever little or much you feel you need. Now we're on to the last 2, which are romance and psychic powers. I hope that I can get this all done in this one video. I'm really hoping. There's just so much to go over. So let's talk about romance. Saffron works for both romance and psychic powers. Also, saffron is such a powerful ingredient. It's very, very potent. It only a couple threads will season a whole entire paella and color it into that beautiful color. I need psychic powers in this home. I need to strengthen the psychic powers in this home. And we need to increase romance both in love and in happiness. And romance in work. We'd like to increase that as well. All aspects of romance could be increased. And I use dragon's blood to increase romance. Here I have some chunks of dragon's blood. I think I just threw maybe like 4 or 5 in there. Dragon's blood is this big. Here's my mother rock resin. Smells so delicious, but in here, it's really just in here because to me it's so love and romance related. I'm going to throw a passion fruit skin in. And you could grind that up into your spice grinder because that would zip right up in there if it's dried properly. One of the most powerful ingredients I'll be using today is roses from my wedding, a couple petals of those. And I tear those up with my hands. I'll do 7 petals. It's cool I've kept them whole because sometimes, like, I think I'll put a whole one into my passion oil that's going to be for, you know, romance and passion. But for now, I'm just bringing romance back into this home, both in love, light, employment, happiness. All around love and romance needs to come back into this home. Okay? Wow, yeah, that's just, the energy just radiates off of those, and maybe it's just for me because it was my wedding, you know. But anyway, another great one for romance. What else were we doing? Saffron, dragon's blood, passion fruit. Yep, that's all the romances. Now we're just onto the psychic abilities, which is, there's so many. I was so excited. So we've talked about Eyebright loads of times. I like to get it powdered. And it just looks kind of like brown powder. Pretty. Bay laurel that we grow in our garden. I'll do 7 of those. The bay laurel increases the psychic powers, and when you smell it and when you burn these, I burn these on full moons. You can write your intention on one of these and burn it in a full moon, or, you know, things that you want to get rid of or overcome on a new moon, things like this, or forgiving,